Good morning, and thank you all for coming today. My name is Yihan Liu, and I'm here today to present the study investigating the effects of cultural diversity on corporate social responsibility that I conducted with my colleagues, Yifan Wu and Chunting. We are very sorry that we are unable to present in person due to the COVID pandemic, but we are more than happy to discuss the research. Please feel free to email us with any questions or anything that you would like to discuss. All discussions are welcomed. Our study examined how cultural diversity and specifically dialect diversity might influence the important component of the sustainable development of enterprises as well as the welfare of the whole society, which is corporate social responsibility. A great amount of literature has studied the impact of cultural diversity on economics. For instance, there is a huge body of research investigating the impact of cultural diversity on employment rate and mergers and acquisitions. However, attention and studies on corporate social responsibility are comparatively insufficient. Thus, we explored the correlations between dialect diversity and the CSR empirically. We used the data of Chinese listed companies and conducted a multilinear regression employing 5 control variables on dialect diversity and the CSR. From the regression analysis results, we found that dialect diversity leaves a statistically significant negative effect on CSR, and the effect of dialect diversity on CSR is more significant in less inclusive cities and cities with more floating populations. To better illustrate our idea, I would like to first elaborate on the definitions of the concepts. Corporate social responsibility is a corporate social behavior of corporates and companies taking the responsibility that goes beyond their legal or regulatory requirements to contribute to society. Cultural diversity is the idea that a large number of cultures coexist. Dialect diversity can be seen as a representative of cultural diversity to an extent, given the nature of dialects. As an important component of language and a useful linguistical tool, dialect also comprises a part of the culture. Varying from one region to another, dialects are believed to reflect or represent regional cultural phenomena. According to Liu and Meng, dialect has 3 major functions, that is, social, cognition, and vector. Previous studies have probed the effects of dialect diversity in many economic phenomena. Liu, Jiao, and Xu found a robust U-shaped relationship between the probability of migration and the dialect distance between one's place of origin and destination based on micro-level data. From the research on state-owned enterprises (SOEs), Kong et al. Found that dialect diversity enhances the impact of competition and decentralization. In terms of corporate performance, dialect diversity is proved to influence firm performance positively. According to Hu, Xiao, and Zhen's research on the effect of dialect sharing on corporate cash holdings in China, a negative correlation between dialect sharing between the chairperson and the CEO subsidies and the levels of corporate cash holding was detected. A negative correlation is also discerned between dialect diversity and foreign direct investment. Wang and Ran employed a gravity model and found that dialect difference has a significantly negative effect on interprovincial trade. Besides, they also found that the negative effects of dialect difference on trade have been diminishing over time, which may be accounted for by migration and the promotion of Mandarin. Now, let's have a look at the methodology. First of all, the CSR data was extracted from Hexun website. which is a major CSR data source for Chinese listed companies, and has been widely used by former scholars. The dialect diversity data comes from Professor Xu Xianxiang of Sun Yat-sen University, who calculated the dialect diversity index of 278 cities in China on the basis of the Language Atlas of China and the Chinese Dialect Dictionary. Other data were collected from CSMAR. In this paper, we defined corporate social responsibility as the explained variable, and the score is measured from 5 aspects: shareholder responsibility, employee responsibility, consumer rights responsibility, environmental responsibility, and social responsibility. Dialect diversity is the explanatory variable. Also, referring to the research done by former scholars, we chose the logarithm of total asset, return on equity, and ownership concentration as the control variables. Accordingly, we constructed a linear regression model as the theoretical model for studying the relationship between dialect diversity and corporate social responsibility. After having collected and pre-processed all the data, we conducted an empirical study with the application of data. First, we conducted a correlation analysis, and as is shown in this table, we can observe that dialect diversity and CSR has a significantly negative correlation at the 1% significant level. And the 3 control variables also show a significant correlation with the explained variable CSR. Then we have done a regression analysis based on the aforementioned formula. According to the regression results, dialect diversity embodies a significantly negative relationship with the corporate social responsibility. In other words, dialect diversity may dampen CSR. In further analysis, we conducted heterogeneity analysis so as to study whether the influence of dialect diversity on CSR varies cities with certain different characteristics. First, we hypothesized that the growth rate of floating population may play an active role in mitigating the negative effect of dialect diversity on CSR, as it indicates increasingly prosperous economy, inclusive atmosphere, and developed social security system. As is indicated in this table, the first interaction term, which is the product of dialect diversity and the growth rate of floating population in 2014, has a significantly positive relation with CSR, implying that in cities with higher growth rate of floating population, CSR is less likely to be reduced as a result of highly diversified culture. Similarly, we have done a heterogeneity analysis on the amount of different cities' foreign capital investment. According to the regression results, the second interaction term shows a significantly positive relationship with the CMR, which means that in cities with more foreign capital investment and thus more open, culturally diverse, and economically prosperous, cultural diversity is less likely to hamper CSR. In conclusion, through empirical study on 2,616 observations of Chinese listed companies in the year 2014, we found that cultural diversity has a negative influence on corporate social responsibility. Such a negative relationship between CSR and dialect diversity can be explained in 2 aspects. First, as CSR is highly dependent on corporate runners' sense of bond with society, it is intelligible that people are less likely to connect with people from unfamiliar cultures and will not feel themselves belonging to a highly multicultural society. Thus, companies in culturally diversified environments may have little initiatives to take their social responsibility. Second, cultural diversity is likely to hamper the implementation of corporate social responsibility in the form of different languages, cultural norms, lifestyles, and even values. Thus, cultural diversity has made it difficult and sometimes even impossible for companies to take an active role in society. Besides, such a negative influence of cultural diversity on CSR is reduced in cities with increasing floating population and more foreign capital investment. And we believe that these cities tend to be more economically developed, well-built, culturally diverse, and open-minded, and thus are more inclusive to differences in culture. Despite its contributions to the vacancy in the academia, this paper also has certain drawbacks, such as the obsolete sample data and the limited perspectives of analysis. And certainly, more relevant studies are in urgent need for people to fully fathom such a valuable issue. Here are the literatures we have referred to, and thank you for listening.